sign is just a lie sold to the weary. 4 a.m. is a cold bucket of water to the face every single day. My boots are worn thin from walking the same 100 yards of tile. The grease on the grill is the only thing that shines in this zip code. Listening to the same gossip about people who never left the porch. Waiting for a miracle in a town where the rain never falls. The silver key is turning and the battery is holding its breath. One spark is all it takes to change the scenery for good. The horizon is calling my name in a voice I can't ignore. I'm taking the back roads where the ghosts can't find my tracks. The wind is a medicine for a soul that's been sick of the dark, leaving the echoes of the assembly line far across the ridge. I'm a wild horse finally finding the fence has been down all along. I watched the foreman's truck pull in as I pulled out for the last time. He didn't see the smile on my face or the middle finger in the air. I got $300 and a tank of premium unleaded, heading for the places where the air doesn't taste like old iron. The town square is shrinking until it's just a speck in the glass. There's a freedom in the rumble that a paycheck could never buy. I'm leaving the smoke for the clean air of the high desert plains. The yellow lines are the only guide I'll ever need to follow again, breaking the rhythm of the routine and finding my own beat. I spent a lifetime building things for people who didn't care. Now I'm building a memory out of every mile I put behind me. It's a long way to nowhere, and that's exactly where I want to be. Reflection in the chrome shows a man who's finally found his peace. No more yes sir or no sir, just the rhythm of the rolling tires. I'm writing a new story on the blank pages of the western sky. The heavy heart I carried is getting lighter with every passing exit, finding my religion in the roar of the V8 under the hood. Driving till the map runs out of ink and the road meets the sea. The night is young and the engine is my only true companion. Just keep rolling, don't ever stop. The rust on the gate, the tire swing is hanging by a single frayed thread. Remember how we jumped into the clover bed. We shared a pack of gum and a secret oath, back when this small town was big enough for both. You had the blueprint, I had the spark, running till the street lights chased away the dark. Life is a river that carves out its own jagged way. The things we didn't mention are the things we can't say.
We looked at the horizon and saw two different skies. Now there's a stranger looking through my oldest friend's eyes. The bridge we burned was made of time instead of wood. You settled down with a mortgage and a steady hand. I took the highway searching for the promised land. The car we shared last Christmas felt like a chore, talking about the weather through a locked iron door. Your knuckles are calloused while my soul is just tired. Two different paths that the universe required. Maybe growing up is just learning how to let go of the people we promised we'd always know. The mirror shows a man I barely recognize at all, standing in the shadow of a rising garden wall. It's not that we failed, it's just that we grew. I'll leave a light on for the ghost of you, a quiet nod to the brothers we used to be, before the world stole you away from me. Just a whisper in the pines, walking separate lines.
Bleeding for a man who forgot my name. The factory whistle sounds like a funeral march for my youth. I sing the sunrise through a dirty window for far too long. The rust on the gate is the only thing growing in this dead valley. My dreams were gathering dust in the corner of a damp basement, walking the line until I realized the line was a circle. I got a suitcase full of nothing and a heart full of lightning. The engine is singing a hymn about the end of the world. I can feel the gravity losing its grip on my restless bones. I'm flying past the fences where the cattle stare at the moon. The speedometer is the only truth I need to believe in right now. Trading the safety of the cave for the danger of the open road. I'm a spark in the dark, heading for the edge of the mountain. I didn't pack a bag, I just grabbed the jacket off the hook, left my resignation letter on the kitchen table like a final prayer. The gravel crunched under my tires like the sound of a jail door opening. By the time they notice I'm gone, I'll be 2 states away. The city lights are fading into the purple haze of the midnight sky. The night is a wide open ocean, and I'm finally learning to sail. Every mile is a brick I'm pulling out of the wall of this town. I'm finding the melody in the chaos of the rushing wind. No more shadows on the wall, just the groove of the dashboard lights. I look back at the valley and I don't feel the sting of the past. I feel the triumph of the escape and the weight of the new world that I was born
silence of a desert. I'm free on my way Seven 7,000 mornings, say. 7,000 mornings. Spitting watermelon seeds on the back of your porch. We were the kings of the county, holding the torch, tracing maps in the dirt with a broken stick, thinking that the bond we had would always stick. Thick as the humidity in a Georgia July, two kids convinced that we'd never say goodbye. Distance isn't measured in the miles on the road. It's the silence that settles under the heavy load. We traded our dreams for the bills and the pride, with nowhere left for the young hearts to hide. The beautiful tragedy of becoming someone new. Now your house is filled with voices I've never met, and my life is a gamble with a mountain debt. You talk of the city and the weight of the rain. The laughter we shared is a muffled old sound, lost in the noise of the world spinning round. Time is a thief that doesn't leave a single trace, except for the lines etched across a weary face. We're just two ships that passed in the morning light, losing our bearings in the middle of the night. Wisdom comes at a cost I didn't want to pay. Bottle and a dusty old frame, searching for the boy who shared my last name. It's okay that we're different now, even if I don't remember how to bridge the gap between us. To build a mountain of my own. This factory floor is a conveyor belt to an early grave. My father died with a wrench in his hand and a dead in his chest. I'm walking through the steam like a man possessed by a bitter ghost. Every bolt I tighten feels like a nail in the coffin of my dreams. The same old stories are told over the same lukewarm lunch. The tank is full and the paper map is burned to ashes. My heart is a piston hitting 6,000 revolutions per minute. The gate is open and I'm not looking for anyone's permission. I'm screaming at the sky with the windows rolled down to the floor. The state line is a finish line for a race I didn't know I was in. Trading the industrial grade for the gold of a western sunset. I'm a hurricane of dust, leaving the struggle in the rear view. I left the engine idling while I walked back to the front office. Dropped my tool belt on the floor and didn't say a single word. The silence of the parking lot was the loudest thing I've ever heard. Then I slammed the door and let the gravel fly toward the fence. I'm leaving the shadow of the smokestack for the heat of the road. Every bridge I cross is a bridge I'm burning behind my back. The radio is playing a song that sounds like the first day of spring. I've got the wind for a compass and the stars for a master plan. Nothing can stop the momentum of a man who's finally broken free. I used to think the world ended at the edge of the county limit, but the asphalt is singing a different tune. About the miles ahead, I'm shedding the skin of the labor and becoming the traveler, triumphant and tired, but more alive than I've ever been. hardest chapter I ever wrote. Moving toward the morning with the pedal pressed to the iron. Gone into the light, never looking back.
Is the only conversation I've had in years. My reflection in the diner window looks like a stranger I hate. The town square is a circle that never lets anyone leave the middle. I'm tired of the dust and the talk about the weather and the crops. The heavy doors of the mill are closing on the man I used to be, working for a pittance and dying for a dream that wasn't mine. The needle is moving and the shadows are starting to stretch. I've got enough fire in my belly to light up the whole interstate. Everything I own is sitting in the seat right next to me. I'm breaking the silence with a roar that can be heard for miles. The mountains are calling me like a mother I never quite knew, leaving the echoes of the hammer behind for the song. Change to make my move into the light. Park the truck at the cliffside and watch the mill smoke rise. Then I turned the wheel toward the west and didn't look back once. The chains of the past are snapping with every gear I shift. I'm a shadow in the moonlight, vanishing into the great wide open. I'm a ghost in the rear view, vanishing into the purple haze. The highway is a ribbon that's tying my future to the stars. No more ceilings or walls, just the infinite stretch of the blue. I'm breathing in the wild and exhaling the smoke of the mill. I spent 40 years listening to the sound of other men's orders. Now the only voice I hear is the one inside my own chest. It's telling me to run until I find where the sun goes to sleep. Triumphant, reckless, I'm finally living for the moment. Unfettered and legendary, I'm making my own way through the dark. The road is a teacher and the engine is my only true friend. I'm finding my salvation in the blur of the passing scenery. Every mile is a blessing and every sunset is a new beginning. Into the golden skies where the struggle is a distant memory. The road goes on forever.
The cracked yellow line is bleeding into the oil stains on this lonesome stretch of blacktop. My headlights catch the skeleton of the old Sinclair station where we used to steal kisses. The air smelled like damp pine and the copper tang of an approaching autumn storm. Every shuttered window on Main Street feels like a cold eye watching me crawl back home. I pass the water tower with our names faded at under 20 years of rust and rain. My knuckles are white as bone against the worn leather of this steering wheel. The silence in the cab is screaming louder than the diesel engine ever could. Every mile marker is a tally of the days I spent running from the truth. Shadows of the oak trees dance across the porch where a rocking chair sat still. The moonlight spills like silver whiskey over the fields we used to call our kingdom. A broken heart don't make a sound when it hits the floor of a ghost town. There's a flickering lamp in the window of the house where I left my soul behind. Just walk away from the girl I buried my father's pride in a shallow grave. Left the mortgage on the kitchen table and took the only key that still worked. Now I'm staring at the darkened nursery window of a life I wasn't brave enough to lead. The guilt tastes like wood smoke and the bitter dregs of a bottle of cheap rye. Was a coward dressed in denim and a reckless dream of something better than the soil. God, I wish I'd crashed this truck before I ever crossed that county line 10 years ago. I'm finally letting go of the steering wheel and letting the medley wash me clean. The truck back into gear. I don't need a map to know that some roads only lead to a quiet final goodbye. I'm leaving the ghost to the night and taking the peace I finally found in the dark. In the dark, in the dark.
I was trying to write a goodbye that sounded like an invitation to stay, but the words wouldn't come cause the truth was too heavy for the paper. You were moving toward the city and I was rooted in the red clay soil. We shared a life like a book that we both forgot to keep reading, until we realized the last chapter had already been written in the silence. The pressure of the onset is cracking the windows of this house, and the ticking of the grandfather clock sounds like a final warning. Love didn't break under the pressure, it just evaporated like morning mist, leaving us with a geography that no map could ever truly explain. I watched you pack your heart into a box and tape it shut for good, while I stood in the doorway with 1,000 weights stuck in my throat. Now the distance is a canyon where my voice just echoes back to me. I looked in the mirror, miles of silence in a wind that smells like rain and empty promises. I found a single earring in the couch cushions like a silver tear. Every time the phone rings, I hope it's a wrong number or a ghost, because the truth of your absence is harder to swallow than cheap whiskey. We grew apart like two trees, searching for different patches of sun, until our roots were the only things keeping us from moving on. The air feels thick with the weight of the letters I never mailed, and the horizon is looking more like a wall than a doorway today. Heartbreak isn't always a storm, sometimes it is just a drought. Watching the person you love become a stranger in a different zip code. I gave you my hand, but I never gave you a reason to stay put. Now the highway's singing a song that I don't know the words to, and the distance is a thief that stole the warmth from my bed. I spent my words on the harvest while your heart was starving for a sign, thinking that provided meant more than just being there to listen. I let my ego drive the truck while you were walking in the ditch, blaming the miles when I should have been blaming my own stubborn feet. It wasn't your departure that broke us, it was my long-term stay in a version of myself that didn't have any room for your needs. I'm stripping back the layers of the man I thought I had to be, revealing a vulnerability that I've hidden for 20 long years. It's honest and it's ugly, but it's the only truth I have left. I am changing for the better, even if it's too late for you to see. The morning fog is lifting and the road ahead looks clear and cold. I'll keep walking forward even if I'm walking into the wind. There is a peace in knowing that you're finally chasing your light. I'll find my own way home through the quiet you left behind.
The rust on the gate, the tire swing is hanging by a single freight thread. Remember how we jump into the clover bed? We shared a pack of gum and a secret oath, back when this small town was big enough for both. You had the blueprint and I had the spark, run until the streetlights chased away the dark. Life is a river that carves out its own jagged way. The things we didn't mention are the things we can't say. We looked at the horizon and saw two different skies. Now there's a stranger looking through my oldest friend's eyes. The bridge we burned was made of time instead of wood. You settled down with a mortgage and a steady hand. I took the highway searching for the promised land. The car we shared last Christmas felt like a chore, talking about the weather through a locked iron door. Your knuckles are callous while my soul is just tired. Two different paths that the universe required. Maybe growing up is just learning how to let go of the people we promised we'd always know. The mirror shows a man I barely recognize at all, standing in the shadow of a rising garden wall. It's not that we failed, it's just that we grew. I'll leave a light on for the ghost of you, a quiet nod to the brothers we used to be, before the world stole you away from me. Just a whisper in the pines, walking separate lines. Echoes of the playground under the flickering porch light. We felt like giants in the middle of the night. A handshake was a contract that couldn't be broken. Back when the truth didn't need to be spoken. I knew your secrets and you knew all of mine, walking together on a thin straight line. The seasons keep changing while we stay the same, but the spark in our friendship is a dying flame. I'm reaching for someone who isn't there anymore, watching the tide pull away from the shore. Slow motion parting of two kindred hearts. Now you talk about politics and interest rates, while I'm still worrying about the closing gates. You found a religion that I can't understand, and I've got a life that didn't go as I planned. We're polite at the funerals and the weddings we attend, but I know that I've lost my very best friend. It's funny how time makes a hero a ghost and takes away the things that you needed the most. We're just two branches on a dying old tree, trying to remember how we used to be when the world was as small as a yard. I'll keep the memories in a box on the shelf and try to find a way to be okay with myself. Safe travels on the road you've paved, for all the moments that we never saved. Just a quiet sigh in the wind. spitting watermelon seeds off the back of your porch. We were the kings of the county holding the torch, tracing maps in the dirt with a broken stick, thinking that the bond we had would always stick. Thick as the humidity in a Georgia July, two kids convinced that we'd never say goodbye. The distance isn't measured in the miles on the road. It's the silence that settles under the heavy load. We traded our dreams for the bills and the pride, with nowhere left for the young hearts to hide. A beautiful tragedy of becoming someone new. Now your house is filled with voices I've never met, and my life is a gamble with a mountain debt. You speak of the harvest and the price of the grain. I talk of the city and the weight of the rain. The laughter we shared is a muffled old sound, lost in the noise of the world spinning round. Time is a thief that doesn't leave a single trace, except for the lines etched across a weary face. We're just two ships that passed in the morning light, losing our bearings in the middle of the night. Wisdom comes at a cost I didn't want to pay. Bottle and a dusty old frame, searching for the boy who shared my last name. It's okay that we're different now, even if I don't remember how to bridge the gap between us. Headlights cutting through the fog like a knife through thick regrets on a Sunday night. I'm passing the old sawmill where the saws have been silent for a generation now. The air is heavy with the scent of damp sawdust and the ghost of working men. Every pothole in this road is a memory of a journey I wasn't ready to take. My hand is shaking on the gear shift as I approach the house with the blue shutters. The emotional weight of 10 years is pressing down of this cab. I can feel the gravity of the past pulling me toward the porch light in the distance. Fireflies are dancing in the meadow behind the fence we built with our own hands. My tattered screen door is swinging in the breeze like a heartbeat in an empty house. The silver lining of the clouds is the only map I have left to find my way back. 1,000 unspoken words are hanging in the air like smoke from a dying fire. I found a letter in the glove box that I wrote to her from a motel in East Texas. It's stained with coffee and the truth that I was too scared to mail it back then. I realized I wasn't running to something, I was just terrified of being known. The stakes are higher now that I see the life she built without me in the picture. I'm tearing down the walls of my own stubborn heart right here on this gravel drive. I was the villain in the story, but I'm ready to be the man who learns to stay. I'm breathing out the poison of the rope and breathing in the grace of the valley. A small smile catches me in the rearview mirror as the first bird starts to sing. I'm not looking back anymore because the view in front of me is finally enough. I'm stepping out of the truck and leaving the keys in the dirt for the wind to find. Cold wind howls through the floorboards like a choir of forgotten sins. I'm sitting where the sidewalk ends and the wilderness begins. The label on the bottle is the only map I'm following tonight. I'm hiding in the darkness because I can't stand the light. My reflection in the window is a man I don't recognize. The ribbon thumping of my heart is like a muffled drum. I'm waiting for the reckoning that I know is bound to come. The shadows are stretching their fingers across the dusty floor. I can hear the sound of someone knocking at the cellar door. There's a long walk
bit of peace, but I'm the one who provided the trigger sweet release. It wasn't an accident and it wasn't a twist, a cruel fate. I planned the whole thing out behind the garden gate. I'm the wolf in the sheep's clothing that the shepherd never found.
The silence in this room is the loudest thing I've ever heard. I'm choking on the weight of every single wicked word. The highway's a snake, it's waiting for me to arrive. I'm the only person left who is barely even alive. Forgive me for the path that I chose to walk alone. I've turned my heart of flesh into a heavy heart of stone. I'm reaching for the bottom, but the floor is falling away. I'm a dying ember at the end of a very long day. The clock is striking midnight and the tavern starts to fade. I'm paying for the choices that I've already made. The key is in the ignition, but the engine won't turn. I'm just waiting for the world to finally start to burn.
Gravel and ghosts, shadows dance in the corner like the men that I left behind in the rain. I'm trying to drown the thunder, but it's rattling my brain. This glass of rye is the only friend that doesn't ask me why. I'm staring at the ceiling, waiting for the stars to die. The wood of this bar is stained with 100 years. The wind is kicking up the dust along the lonely frontage road. I'm carrying it heavy in a catastrophic load. The air is getting thinner and the lights are turning blue. I'm running out of time and I'm running out of you. There's a cold wind blowing through the cracks in my weary heart. I've been a walking disaster right from the very start. The cards on the table all showing the ace of spades. I'm watching the colors of my life as a memory fades. You might think I'm a widower mourning a tragic loss, but I'm the one who threw the silver and I'm the one who paid the cost. I sold the location of the hideout to the man in a black suit. I traded my brothers for a suitcase and a pair of shiny boots. Now the money is rotting in a hole beneath the sycamore tree. I can hear the ghosts of the gang riding hard across the plain. Every drop of water on the roof is a bullet in the rain. The devil is a hitchhiker I picked up miles ago. He's sitting right beside me and he's starting to show. I'm confessing to the shadows 'cause the preacher is asleep. I've got promises to break and I got secrets to keep. My soul is a desert where nothing is ever gonna grow. I'm just a man with nowhere left for a spirit to go. The headlights are sweeping across the empty parking lot. I'm trying to remember the lessons that I was never taught. The engines are idling and the night is nearly done. I'm still sitting here staring at the barrel of the sun.